They've done a tremendous job under the most difficult of circumstances. I've seen staff come into the ministry to work, even though their own personal situation was obviously very dire, but nonetheless, they showed up to work. They lived up to their responsibilities, and I would say they went far and above and beyond for country St. Martin. In particular, my SG, Joy, I've seen the personal toll that this has taken on you from day one after Irma. If I had one fault, I'd say it was that you never said no, that you just took everything on your shoulders, every crisis, every problems, you owned it, and you did your best with it. And really, I couldn't be more proud of the ministry and your role in particular. Through the crisis, it's been interesting because the ministry, besides seeing the staff, how they've performed, have also developed quite a network of volunteers, donors, and I think although the list is a little bit long, I think actually it's good to talk about, because actually we are not really, when we talk about the distribution of relief, we're not really speaking only about the functions of the ministry. Fact is, when the storm actually hit St. Martin, in terms of stockpiles of goods for distribution, the ministry really didn't have anything. For the first amounts of water that had to be distributed, they had to be purchased by the ministry for distribution. So, we have a number of churches. Pastor Norma's church, Pastor Arundel's church, Phillipsburg Methodist Church, the Come Center, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Apostolistic Outreach Church, the Bible Baptist Church, the New Life Baptist Church, the Methodist Church, and the Angelic Touch Ministry. In addition to that, we've had many international donors, people who came without being called, people who just showed up here for St. Martin to lend a hand because they believed it was their humanitarian obligation. ADRA, the World Food, the WFP World Food Program, Samaritan Purse, USAID, UN Aid, Cord Aid, Red Cross, PAWA, Go Lift Organization, PAHO, IOM, Salvation Army, Government of Venezuela, Government of Dominica, of course the Netherlands, the list goes on, as well as local companies, local entities, the VKS, the police, the fire department, K1 Britannia, the Red Cross, various community councils, Department of Social Services, Care Foundation, Forever Blessed, Giving Back, Sunshine Foundation, the Marines, and of course the civil servants. And civil servants not only from the Ministry of ESA, there were civil servants that came in and said, look, I work in Ministry of VOMI, or I work in any other ministry, and said, look, I'm here to help. Just tell me where I can go, what I need to do. And I saw all kinds of civil servants come in to assist from all different types of departments. Van Putten, Envy, Payne, Trucking as well. So really, I just wanted to sort of highlight the point that when we talk about the distribution of relief goods, it really is much broader, much more complex than simply that of the Ministry of VSI. And I think that we should be here today to acknowledge and appreciate and celebrate, actually, the achievements, the dedication, and the great work that's been done. Perhaps putting things in a little bit of a context, I understand that the members of Parliament have a role to make sure that they check the performance of the different ministries. But if we're really honest with ourselves, of course, things could always be better, and of course, there's many people out there who are in dire circumstances and in need of help. But especially when you compare St. Martin with other islands. I have friends in St. Thomas, I have people in Puerto Rico, and if you see St. Martin, and not because of the actions of government necessarily, but because as a country over the years, especially since Hurricane Lewis, St. Martin has made investments in infrastructure, has made decisions over the years that have allowed the country to, for many, rebound, I think, rather quickly. So there are some that have very, I don't want to say normal lives, but their lives are, they have electricity, they have water, there's sense of law and order in our country. Many still have jobs. And of course there are the others who have damaged homes, lost income and other situations, but I think if we're honest, if we really compare and look around the world, St. Martin's doing many things correctly. In our presentation, I'm going to give a little bit of an outline. Here's our contents about the EOC structure, the role of VSA, our approach and criteria for distribution of basic needs, some of the challenges, types of aid available. And actually, I think we've inserted a slide because I believe that our role shouldn't only be to look backwards, but also to look forwards and see what lessons have we learned from our experiences to date. And actually, I find it fascinating that despite requesting information on what lessons were learned after Lewis, I have yet to find any information, reports on lessons learned after Lewis. What I'm always told, the one thing that was a lesson learned after Lewis is this, the EOC. So the EOC was one of the outcomes from the post-Lewis evaluation. And the EOC, or I think it's Emergency Operating Committee, Joy? Yes? Was formed basically to sort of take over some of the structures that were put in place after Lewis. And remember, after Lewis, we still had a lieutenant governor, and lieutenant governor took over sort of as a, let's call it a supreme commander. And it is meant to be put into effect when there's a disaster, where public safety is severely disrupted, where the life, health, and well-being of many persons is at risk, and large material interest. And it requires then a coordinated development of services and an organization that fits that. And I think it's interesting, if you look at the National Ordinance on Disaster Management, it outlines the role of the EOC and the structure of the EOC. And I think it's interesting to note that in the EOC structure, and you can see it here, there's a couple things that I find to be striking or noteworthy, is that actually ministers don't necessarily play a role in the EOC structure, right? Primary is the role of the Prime Minister, who is in charge of preparing disaster management, ensuring the following things are in place: a system for informing and warning the population, training and exercise, cooperation between the various government services, establishing of a physical EOC, materials, infrastructure, and arrangements for assistance. So in this structure that you see here, the idea was that the Prime Minister actually replaced the role of the Lieutenant Governor in the past structure, the past recovery since after Lewis. So the Prime Minister is the Supreme Commander. He has the Supreme Command, he chairs the EOC meetings, and he communicates the EOC decisions to the population. So if you look at it, there is no official role for ministers in that structure.
Hey guys, did you know that now with Telcel, if you accumulate $25 or more within one calendar month, you get 15 more?
15 more?
Yes, 15 more, however you want.
So I can top up $3 now, $10 next week, and so on until I reach or pass $25?
That's right, get 15 more.
Wow! I feel like a 15 again.
Yeah, right. Accumulate $25 or more within one calendar month and get 15 more. Telcel, when you want more.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NV.
I strongly recommend that St. Martin put more attention to its relationship within the Caribbean, within those organizations, because only then St. Martin, for instance, would be able to gain access to such organizations as the Caribbean Development Bank and other international financial institutions, which would then again make us less dependent on what we would have to get from the Netherlands, and would only be fair. Having said that, if we look at the list of pledges that were made during that conference, it's very difficult for outsiders to understand why we are making such a big noise. And I've been asked that question a lot, because the pledges that were made by the Netherlands for St. Martin, Saba, and Statia amounts to some $702 million. The highest pledge after that came from the European community, and that was $352 million to be shared between Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, where most of the pledges, if not all, basically went to. So it is very difficult to explain when one country opened the purse the way that the Netherlands did, that we have issues with that. And that is why I would advise, we should be able to multitask. We should be able to, and this goes again for both sides, we should be able to deal with one issue, deal with our feelings and legal objections as to the procedure that was used, and at the same time continue with the recovery. But now we got into one procedure, and because of it's this or that, it would seem like everything has stopped. And thankfully, as I said, with the meeting with the State Secretary, we were able to sit and discuss these matters, and we agreed that first thing that we would need to start to do is to tone down the rhetoric. It is not nice, and I'm sure my colleagues sitting here at the table, including the others are all honorable people. So it is nice. It is not nice every day when you come to work that you have to hear about those crooks on St. Martin, those bunch of thieves in government, etc., etc. It's not nice. And on the other side, the taxpayers in Holland won't understand if from their money so many millions is being given to us and we don't appreciate it. When it comes to the people that we say we are doing this for, they don't understand what we are fighting for and why we are fighting and not assisting in getting things moving. And that is exactly what the State Secretary and I said that would have priority. We would tone down the rhetoric. We would work with each other based on a mutual respect and move forward with the things that we have to do. And fully realizing that my stay here is limited to maybe another 2 weeks, but I can assure that those 2 weeks would be based on that approach, on that procedure, that we would deal with all of our partners based on a situation of mutual respect, and we expect the same type of respect that we give and that we move forward with the process. I hope with that I would have, as an intro, given a brief explanation as to how I attend and my colleagues on the ministry, how we attend to move forward. You already heard from the different ministers. The issues that they address are the pending issues, and we are moving forward, and we're going to work and do the things that we are here to do. Elections, as you know, elections were written out. There's a schedule that by law that has to be followed. That schedule would continue. The next date on the list for something to happen would be December the 6th, which would be the closing of the voters register. That would be on that date. And all further preparations for the election was continue according to law.
People all across St. Martin are switching to a more rewarding experience. The WIB MasterCard Fun Miles credit card, better known as My Card. Earn 1 Fun Mile for every $2 spent, even abroad and online. This will quickly get you a ton of Fun Miles to redeem for travel, shopping, food, fuel, and much more. But there's more to My Card. Worldwide acceptance, an EMV chip for extra security, and 250 free Fun Miles with first use. Switch to My Card today at WIB.
Fun miles from within your reach.
Hey guys, did you know that now with Telcel, if you accumulate $25 or more within 1 calendar month, you get 15 more?
15 more?
Yes, 15 more. However you want.
So I can top up $3 now, $10 next week, and so on until I reach or pass $25?
That's right. Get 15 more.
Wow! I feel like a 15 again.
Yeah. Right. Accumulate $25 or more within 1 calendar month and get 15 more. Telcel, when you want more.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
Moving forward, I would like to remind the general public of St. Martin that our annual Thanksgiving ceremony will be held this Sunday, December 4th. The end of the hurricane season is tomorrow, thank God. For many, many years, we've been able to celebrate because we were not destroyed. We were not hit. We were not victims. This year, we will celebrate with gratitude that despite having been hit by one of the most devastating hurricanes that has ever hit this part of the world, we are still standing strong with an attitude of gratitude. That is the theme of our service, and we invite the general public to come out with us to celebrate this fact. Yes, we know there are still many suffering. We just heard from our colleague that many have, now the numbers are finally increasing. We're getting a better picture of those in need. Many are still without proper housing. They are living with family, they're living with friends. And last week, the Americans celebrated their Thanksgiving. And this week is our Thanksgiving, and we have a lot to be thankful for despite what we have been through. Most of us still have life. There was minimal loss of life, not to diminish not even one life lost, because even one life loss is too much. But we give God thanks that despite that storm where many more could have lost their lives, we have survived. Not only are we surviving, 2.5 months later, almost 3 next week, we are moving forward. We are building back. We are fixing, and we will get there as a country. As I mentioned before, we will need all hands on deck. So that spirit of helping our neighbors that came out after September 6th is something that I don't want us to lose as we rebuild and we get stronger individually. And now we have power and we have water and we have a job still, and others are still suffering. I implore all of us to, in this Thanksgiving period and moving forward, to continue to think about our neighbors, our friends, our families, and even those who we do not know who are still suffering. Come out to this Thanksgiving ceremony. We always worship together. The St. Martin United Ministerial Foundation and the Christian Councils collaborate with the Ministry of ECYS in these celebrations, but I must also mention that we are collaborating with the Ministry of General Affairs as well, as this falls within their responsibility. We will also be kicking off the start of our Christmas season with the start or the ending of the hurricane season. And so I know that together with my colleague ministers in Tiat and Vromi, we are looking at ways to, beautify mainly the Phillipsburg area and other areas, but I would like to also implore the community leaders and the people who live within the communities to work together. The ministry started a replanting program. We will continue to do so, and as we come to your communities and replant the cultural and historical trees that we have lost, we implore you to also replant your yards. We implore you to plant your backyard gardens. We've seen the necessity of food and how it is good if we have our own. So I think agriculture will raise its head as one of those pillars in a society that was missing before, and we can start in our own gardens. Come out and help your neighbors to fix what can be fixed so that we can still celebrate Christmas despite the hardships some of us are facing. It's not about gift giving, it's about sharing what we have. And I'm hoping that people will see that just like that flag with all its controversy, once it's up in the air, it gives us a sense of hope every time we pass by. When we see some Christmas lights, and when we see a Christmas tree, or we see the joy on a child's face when they are able to receive something that they really need, I think many of us will then also feel a joy within our hearts. So as we end the hurricane season and go into the Christmas season, I ask all of us to remember what the real meaning of Christmas is, and remember the humble Savior who was born with nothing, and that therefore we do not need everything to be able to celebrate. Look forward to seeing you all on Sunday at 4 p.m. And after the service, we will be able to kick off our Christmas with the lighting of the tree.